December 8th, 1968 was a beautiful day at Riverside Raceway in Southern California. The motoring press was all gathered at the invitation of Pontiac to witness the unveiling of two new cars for the 1969 season. A sporty road racer called the Trans Am and the latest outrageous mobile in the muscle car wars, the Judge. Their initial reaction was not what Pontiac was hoping for.
There's a really great man in Pontiac history by the name of Jim Wangers, and Jim was responsible for all of Pontiac's advertising back in the wide track days and all of the really aggressive Tiger commercials, and he was actually on the committee to help build the Judge. And according to Jim, when they rolled out the Judge that day at Riverside Raceway, he said he had never seen a more negative reaction from the automotive press corps to a new car. He said it was really clear to him that the press didn't have the slightest idea what they were trying to do. They didn't get the joke, and it was just really not a happy day.
The press may have laughed at the Judge with its loud colors and pop art graphics, but muscle car buyers saw the car for what it was.
A few muscle car buyers ventured down to the Pontiac dealership and took a look at the Judge and took a test drive, and a Ram Air 3 and a Ram Air 4 motor especially really got their attention, and pretty soon word was out on the street that this car was pretty fast.
When the Judge hit the streets, Pontiac made sure that every one of them was equipped with all their go-fast stuff. If you ordered a 69 GTO with a Judge option package, the only engines you could get were the Ram Air 3 or 4 400s. The only transmission options were the heavy-duty M40 automatic or the Muncie 4-speeds with Hurst shifters. The Judge option also included the ride and handling package, G70x14 wide oval tires on 14x6 rally wheels, and the heavy-duty safety track rear end. Judges were easy to spot at drag strips all over America, and not just because of their bright paint jobs. 80% of all 69 Judges were sold in that eye-popping shade of orange. A carousel red, that is. Initially, this was the Judge's only color, but by mid-69, the Judge would be available in any GTO color. The Judge did exactly what it was supposed to do for the GTO. It made people sit up and take notice. This powerful concept gave the ad men some wonderful opportunities.
When the Judge came out, there was one particular ad that I remember. It showed a guy in a racing jacket standing next to this bright orange 69 carousel red Judge with a line underneath it that said, "The Judge can be bought." Well, again, Jim Wangers tells the story that it wasn't but a couple of weeks before Pontiac started getting letters from the American Bar Association. It seemed the lawyers sort of took offense at this, so, you know, they knew people were watching.
The automotive press took a little while to convince, but the general public caught on a lot faster. As a method of drawing attention to the GTO, the Judge was a hit. And as a crowd pleaser with the car-buying public, it was an over-the-top success. Some 6,800 GTOs with a Judge option sold in 1969, almost 10% of all GTO sales that year. The Judge did so well that it was continued for 1970, the most amazing year ever for the muscle car. What had started as a one-time only splash in the marketplace was now a fixture in the GTO's option list. Very little changed in 1970 for the Judge, except to redesign the sandwich board rear spoiler and add an engine option. Following the DeLorean dictum, it was a big engine.
The 455 HO was basically a bored-out Ram Air 400 car. It still had the round port intakes and all that. You know, those extra 55 cubes really helped.
1970 also saw another big color splash for the Judge. This year's special color was a brilliant shade of yellow called Orbit Orange. It became a Judge trademark. But an era was ending, and the first indication that the muscle cars were dying might have been in the advertising.
By 1970, you could pretty much see that Pontiac was getting really tired of taking all the heat for building all these really aggressive cars, and their advertising really reflected it. They had a couple of aggressive ads like they did in the old days, but a lot of their marketing thrust was towards presenting it as a sort of a gentleman's motoring car rather than the old street sweeper that it used to be.
Nonetheless, the Judge lived on into 1971 with a totally redesigned front end and performance that was downplayed in favor of image. In 1971, the compression ratio fell to 8.5 to 1 as the whole industry responded to the demand for lower horsepower and emissions control. Significantly, though, the 71 455HO actually outperformed the 70 Ram Air 4 engine. Originally, the Judge was to be a one-year-only car, but today's owners of 70 and 71 Judges are glad Pontiac continued to make them for 2 more years. The later Judges are even more collectible and just as much fun as those bright orange ones from 1969.
The 1971 Judge was truly an American muscle car work of art. It was big, it had rounded lines, it had a big fin on the back, it had an honest 448 pounds of torque and 335 horsepower on a dyno.
Just like the little GTO did in 1964, the Judge took it on the chin for being the first of its kind. But it finally earned the respect it deserved as a milestone among muscle cars. After its initial attempt at being a Roadrunner imitator, the Judge went the other way and became the first of the high-concept muscle cars. All the Superbirds and GSXs that followed its outrageous appearance and enhanced performance owe their specialness in the muscle car era to the Judge.
There's not many of them left, so if you can get one and restore it, it's much better. It helps the car enthusiasts, especially the muscle car era. And as far as I'm concerned, these are much nicer than a new car today. Once you get into it, you gotta go all the way through with it. And once you get started, you can't stop. You just keep putting more together, painting this, painting that, finding the parts for it. It's actually a great hobby to get into.
When you do get it done and you roll it out, you get a chance to, first of all, show it to people that remember what it was. They were there, and they all have a personal relationship with the car, too. But not only that, when you show it to younger people, a lot of them look and they see, and they kind of wonder in their minds, you know, why aren't we making cars like this today? And you know, there's a lot of good reasons why we're not making cars like this today. And today's cars are some pretty fantastic pieces, but all of these cars had a personality, that had a character of its own, and when you can turn a young person onto that and they can respect that and they can get a little enjoyment out of that too, that's just icing on the cake.
The GTO Judge was a big splash of color as the 60s came to a close. Sort of an exclamation point at the end of an incredible decade. Thanks for watching, and remember, don't crush 'em, restore 'em.